Hey everybody, Arx Entertainment. Anyone played those games before? I know you have. You had to. A lot of you, at least, you probably just forgot. Dragon Fable, Adventure Quest Worlds, and the long dead Hero Smash. uh, for everyone that grew up playing at least one of the Arx Entertainment games, hats off. I love running into people in real time that have played these games because they remember just being there. Like these games are a true example of you just had to be there, bro. Like being there for the launch of Adventure Quest Worlds, I wasn't there for that, but I did get to see the early aspects of it. And I got to see like footage that people recorded of the alpha test. It was insane. These guys went from making single player games that were still online, but single player, to just being like, all right, guys, we're making a MMO. That's right. You're gonna be playing with other, and this was a bigger deal back in like 2006, 7, 8, whenever the alpha test started. Probably 2007. I know the final game. Well, it went out of the beta test in 2008, but this was a bigger deal around that time because MMOs were a thing as early as like the 90s and maybe even 80s, from what I remember. This was still the early 2000s, and this was a big deal because a lot of those MMOs costed money, and this was going to be free and kid friendly. And it was also a big deal for people that really enjoyed Adventure Quest and Dragon Fable because now you get to see like you get to play similar content to what you're already playing right now, but alongside hundreds and thousands of other players, and that was just huge. Just imagining that and then playing it, reaching level 20, fighting the little orcs was all just really cool. I wish I was there for that. I did not hear of that. I heard of Wizard 101, and that is another video for another day. Another childhood MMO. This is a series. This is going to be a series now, I guess, where I'm just rambling about games I played as a kid that I kind of still do today. Like I started back playing Adventure Quest Worlds um, around the time I lost my job, and I just wanted something to cope with. And it was like I've been playing a little bit on and off before then, but I really got back into it around that time because just wanted something simple that I could just cope with and escape reality, and it was great. I reached level 100. I got all these new classes that I'd never even heard of. I got to finish the Chaos. Oh man, goodness! I wish I was there for the release of the Chaos Saga ending. I was there when the Chaos Saga had one Chaos Lord, two Chaos Lords. I was there for it. I was there when they had the one saga that took place in a Japan inspired region and you got to fight anime inspired characters. I was there. It was fun. It was so fun, man. I remember being a free to play player and getting access to one of the few free to play pets, and that was such a big deal. I remember when Necromancer released. So in the early days of Adventure Quest Worlds, for the most part, there was no soloing. If you wanted to beat a boss, you had to get some other players there, and that was much easier back then because there were a lot more players that were stretched out across the coast more with content. Nowadays, everybody's kind of no, I have been seeing a nice influx of people somewhere in the middle of like not in the phase of just starting, but not near in game. So they do have some stuff. It's just now that the player count is not what it used to be, but I'm still happy it's here. Like it's not pulling in like the 30,000 that it used to, but honestly, being at like 3,000, 5,000, that's still a good amount of players. That's enough players to still pay the bills. At the time of this video, in the middle of a what day is it? Middle of a Wednesday, it's at 4,000 players. That's really cool. Um, but back then, there really wasn't soloing. You chose a class if you wanted to like help tank, like take the brunt of damage, or be support to heal other players, or just deal the highest amount of damage. I really love mage. I like dealing magic damage. That's just how I am in every game I play. If there's magic, I pick magic. If there's no magic, I try to go with whatever range class there is. And if there's none, then I just cope and sword. But so much changed when Necromancer released. When Necromancer released, that was the first soloing class ever. Like you you could solo a boss with by yourself. You do that. You summon your little skeleton, you drain health. That was all you. You were him in that moment. It was cool. Now, admittedly, soloing was a bit slow. Like you chipped away at health bar pretty low. Because Necromancer's damage wasn't the highest, but at that time, I think they wanted to balance it. Like if you want to solo, your damage won't be high, but if you want to be burst, nowadays we have burst soloers and other things, and yeah, later on they created other ways for people to be able to solo. Some people figured out how to solo with the rogue class. They just had their dodge stat be really high. Um, knew what skills to use at once. So people got really creative in figuring out ways to use certain classes to fill the role of necromancer. Um, and then other classes came out. There was Shaman, Evolved Shaman, other things. Plenty of classes that were able to solo. Nowadays, finding a solo class isn't really hard. It's just a matter of finding a solo class that can solo and not be slow, or solo and do something else on the side. Like, for example, with Arc Paladin, that class can tank and solo. So you probably want it there for one of those end game bosses. There's so much that changed that I had to adjust to when I got back. There was weapons with special stats, gear with special stats where it would just boost your overall damage by a percentage. There were um these new hard in game bosses that you had to do if you wanted to get a new class without doing the longer quest or spending. Well, actually, no, I think most of these new classes you can't really buy them with adventure coins. You just have to earn them. So you just fought these harder versions of these bosses and just had to win. And the only way for you to win with that is just having a solid setup. I don't know if that music kind of. I was playing a little bit of Adventure Quest on the side monitor. I don't know if the music seeped through for a second, but if it did, I'm just gonna leave it. It's whatever. I'm talking about the game, may as well have it in there. Um, there's new. There's a lot of new mechanics that you really just have to get used to. I finally figured out the name of the bosses. The ultra bosses. They require having certain items, certain classes, certain gear for all to be efficient. And I have a nice little party. A lot of people like to meet up with players on Discord and other stuff to find the proper parties for these because there's a lot of people that don't really know how to do ultra bosses. I'm one of them. If I have ever messed up an ultra boss run, I'm sorry. I'm glad for all the nice people that have helped me out. I have the classes for them. I have Arc Paladin and Legion Revenant, even though I hear that I shouldn't really be using Legion Revenant too much for certain bosses. I just mostly stick to Arc Paladin because people can just tell me what to do. Like they tell me to taunt, I taunt. And taunt, this is where I use this little potion item, take aggro, cool. But that's enough talking about the newer content. Just talk about Adventure Quest worlds in general, I guess, some of the older stuff. They did a lot of crazy stuff that I don't really see in other MMOs like that. They did live events. You really had to be there for it. One of the Chaos Lords was a live event with One Eyed Doll, like an actual band. They do live events with Voltaire, the singer. Voltaire. I guess he's buddies with them. That's so cool. They did live events in their other game as well, like Adventure Quest 3D also had live event from Breaking Benjamin and whatnot. And some people aren't always into the bands that they choose, but honestly, I think the concept of just having a live event like this is cool. Like I wouldn't care if it's some music I'm not even interested in at all. Like the fact that it's happening is really cool to me. Fortnite does this a lot now. The live events. Well, I don't want to say a lot. But they were doing this quite a bit, and it was still cool then, like the Travis Scott concert, the Juice World event, like all these things. But Adventure Quest Worlds, they were doing this back in the day with a budget of who knows, man. They were indie. I mean, I'm sure after they reached like 40,000 players and whatnot, million players total and whatnot, they started having more money to do things like this. But man, it was really beautiful. It makes me a little sad that they don't have the same studio that they used to. 'Cause they had to downsize because a lot of employees just weren't really in the studio anymore after being told that they can work from home, and it's kind of sad to me. But at least they have a new studio. They still have something. I don't know if they still do tours like they used to, but man, I remember growing up being like, man, I want to go on a tour. And Adventure Quest, I mean, Arts Entertainment Studio, I get to see all this stuff behind the scenes, and it's just so cool. I hope they still do tours. If I ever find myself in Tampa, I definitely want to see if they do, because it's just so awesome. Just um, speaking of something that's awesome, I'm just the fact that I'm able to talk to Adam Bond, the CEO of Arts Entertainment, just still crazy to me. Like I help run this Facebook page for one of the games, and it's just really cool just being able to just have the chance to just message him. Like I think I don't know why I'm about to say I think like one of the games that the game that I run the page for, because there used to be multiple, but now it's just one. Adventure Quest 3D. I was there for it all, man. I got to see the original Adventure Quest 3D. I got to see that crash and burn. I got to see the tests, the shader mess ups, the everything, and I get to see it now. But Adventure Quest Worlds, um, it's just a crazy game when you think about it. I'm sorry if I don't have a very coherent way of talking about this game. I'm just talking about everything that comes to mind as I ramble about this game that I played as a kid. This was a Flash based MMO, and they did so much with it. They're still doing so much with it. The plot was interesting. One of the best plots to play in this game right now is the Darkon Saga. If you are new to Adventure Quest, I really want you to like start playing this game, level up to a point where you can do the Darkon Saga and play that. It is such an amazing saga, and it's got a cool class that came with it later on down the road. It's so amazing. Just talking about it would lead me down a hole where I would spoil it. I'll just talk about a little bit of it. It's just it pretty much starts as it starts off like what you think is a revenge plot where this guy just wants revenge on his brother that like killed his beloved and tried to killed him too. And it just ends up being like so much more. There's the Arcanas, and they all have their special abilities, and it's really good. Go play it. If you play Adventure Quest Worlds right now and you don't pay attention to the story, go play the Darkon Saga. Pay attention to that story. That story is good. They have other good stories too, like the Sepulture Saga, the Flame War, all that. That's great too. Haven't finished them, but man, they are good. Um, Monster Queen exists. I don't know how to maneuver that because the tracking for certain storylines and how it's mapped out isn't really the best. Like Chaos Saga is mapped out, easy to follow. Queen of Monsters, that is not easy to follow. I had to go to Reddit when I returned and got to like level 100, and I was like, hey, how do I do the next saga? I finished Chaos Saga. The ending for Chaos Saga, I know some people were upset. I like the ending. I like it. Like finding out the real reason why Draken was doing all that, and then just having him like be treated like nothing after he sacrificed everything to do the thing that he did was it was great. It was fitting. It was fitting of a man that did everything that he did to all of the other Chaos Lords. Man, it's so great. Some Chaos Lords are stronger than others in terms of their writing. Some are just kind of not that interested in terms of mechanics, but they really found ways to come up with some cool mechanics for a 2D flash based MMO, and for that I'll always applaud. Um, I think the only things that I can say that I understand why people kind of fell off of it for one reason or another is because it's still Flash, and Flash kind of runs like butt. or they just hate the FOMO, the lot of rarities. I don't really mind it. Like some rares are cool, some rares I ignore. I don't think rares have the um force that they used to. I remember when there was a new rare. There were certain rares that I have on my account that I didn't know people were going that crazy for, and so I looked it up and saw people were using their. There's this thing that you get if you play long enough, or you win one in like the little wheel, or you just buy enough upgrades for you to like reach that bracket. You can make a wish for an item in the game. There's certain restrictions, of course, but you get to make a wish, and there's some people that wish for items that I have, and I was like, wow, I didn't know that. And these are mostly older rares. No one really uses them for newer rares, so I guess it's mostly just the old ones. I don't understand why newer rares don't really have as much of the driving force they used to. But I mean, driving force is old rares, but hey, whatever. Um, and I guess not everyone's really too into the enchantment system or just certain gameplay decisions. But I don't know. I kind of like it. I like it still. I love the way it's evolved, and it's just the fact that they found a way to keep it interesting and fresh after being online for 17 years. Let me double check that actually. And but I'm looking that up. Yeah, they are 17 years old. They've been running this thing for 17 years. I remember being there for I started in like 2009. I remember being there when the map was not really full like that. There were just like a few specks on the map. The thing I love about this game is you get to grow with the game. You get to see it grow weekly. They're adding new content weekly, and that's insane. I guess technically, like all games, they grow under your feet, but Arcs Entertainment, they really mean it when by these games grow under your feet. Like you get to play the alpha versions and the beta test, and play it all the way until they start the official service. And that's different because other MMOs they'll do like an alpha test, but the alpha test is for like a weekend, and usually those alpha tests are honestly just for like testing the servers, and or at most just testing balancing that they change out. But a lot of times, whatever's in that alpha test, it's usually still going to be there by the live service. Some games they do change stuff from alpha to beta to live release. I'm starting to notice that more, especially with smaller MMOs. But yeah, I feel like with a lot of these newer games, especially if they're not import, if they're like from other places, just version released here, they're kind of everything that's there now. It's gonna be there later. And so I just see people that's like, don't be too critical, guys. You know, it's just the alpha, but it's like this is gonna be how it is later. They're not changing anything. You know, this is it. But um, yeah, thanks for watching. Um, I hope people that play Adventure Quest watch this video. That's enough of me rambling. I hope if you do play Adventure Quest and any of this rambling like sparked any nostalgic memories, I hope. But yeah, if you haven't played Adventure Quest, I recommend it. It's pretty easy to get into, especially right now. Just try it out. It's free. Hey, anyway, I'm out. To the next video.